Shall I start the session?
Wait.
Yes, ma'am.
Andrea is not audible. Can you unmute your? Yeah, now it's okay. Good.
Hello, everyone. My apologies.
Yeah.
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. Welcome to our webinar on the rebirth of tourism in the context of the COVID-19 pandemic. My name is Andrea, and I will be the moderator of the session today. This webinar is the result of a recent partnership between ISAL, the Institute of Administration and Languages on the island of Madeira in Portugal, and TACW, a college for women in India. This partnership intends to reinforce cooperation with higher education institutions in the fields of tourism and management, and to promote scientific research and the international exchange of our students and our faculty. So a very warm welcome to everyone who is joining us today from Portugal, from India, and any other part of the world. Thank you for joining us. Now, it is my great pleasure to introduce you to the Vice Director of ISAL, Dr. Stanchard Campanella, and the Principal of TACW, Dr. Brinka. The floor is all yours.
Thank you so much.
Andrea. Hello, India. ISAL is very, very, very happy to do this partnership with India and with all the students of the AMAL College in India. I'm sorry, but my English is not very good, but I know you understand all. Today, we are going to talk about tourism revenge, with Professor Elvio Camacho, that will talk with you about 40 minutes to 1 hour, and then we will have the enclosure with the partnerships. I do not want to extend my talking, so I will pass the word to Andrea again.
Well, now I would like to hear from the principal of the ACW, please, Dr. Brinka.
Yeah. Okay. Very good evening and warm welcome to all. Respected Vice Director of ISAL, Dr. Sancha D. Campanella, the Speaker Master Elvio Camacho, Moderator Andrea, Dean of Research Dr. J. Kalaimadi, and my dear loving and lovable students. I welcome you all again. First of all, I would like to record my sincere thanks to Vice Director Dr. Sanchanella D. Campanella and Claudia, Director of International Operation. Thank you so much for having this webinar. The topic of today's webinar is tourism revenge. It's a quite different and interesting topic. If you take the human population, all individual human beings are equal, but their living atmosphere are equally varied. The atmosphere in this context includes culture, history, tradition, art, architecture, natural phenomena, unique trade, goods, and services belonging to each locality. The first travel in human history were the prehistoric migration for living needs like better pasture or hunting grounds. Moving away from prehistory, trade became the more prominent reason for traveling. Still, this reason is only materialistic. However, we find the first traveler who waged across brutal and hostile landscape for the sole purpose of experiencing another plea and its culture in the form of Greek pilgrims like Megasthenes, Patroclus, and their destination was India. Hence, it could be debatably stated that India was the first tourist destination in human history. Tourism became a profitable venture by the end of the colonial era, and all the countries of the world started to identifying various destinations and attractions it had to offer. This is because the human curiosity to experience that which has not been seen before is one of the biggest motivators for spending. This trend of modern tourism can be traced back to the tradition known as Grand Tour. This was a European journey that spanned across Germany, Belgium, Netherlands, Spain, France, Swiss, Italy, and Austria. European men took this grand tour rite of passage once they came of age. Many local organizations of these destinations started providing commercial facilities like boarding, lodging, and local travel facilities. Even since tourism branched out into niche tourism like culinary tourism, cultural tourism, medical, film, sports, sex, wellness, wildlife, and ecotourism. The tourism industry in every country is one of the most important contributors of foreign exchange. Starting with 200 million international tourists in 1950s, 1.4 billion individual arrivals were calculated worldwide in 2018. This generated 240 billion US dollars and 42.7 million jobs and 9.2% of Indian GDP in 2018. United Kingdom and Australia are the largest contributors for Indian tourism. Tamil Nadu, our current location, is the second largest destination in India in 2017. The UNESCO World Heritage Convention in 1972 identified 38 World Heritage Sites in India. Apart from that, India contributes to 12 biosphere reserves and 13 intangible cultural heritage sites. Hence, India plays a very significant role in bringing tourists from all across the world. The proclaim, Yadam Ure Yavarin Keliris, the entire is my native place and the entire humanity are my relatives. This attitude of cherishing a global relationship reflects in the hospitality of India. Further, Swadesho Bhuvanatrayam, meaning the entire world is my nation, is upheld by providing e-visas and one of the most non-intrusive immigration systems of the world. There is another adage, Aditi Devo Bhava, which means the guest is the god. This is the attitude of India in terms of security and comforts of its tourists. All of this being said, tourism has dwindled to almost non-existence due to the COVID pandemic. Once the pandemic is over, revenge tourism will begin. The global experts are estimating a 50% increase on the 2018 numbers because travelers are currently pent up with the need to travel and will double up on tourism once the pandemic is resolved. We hope to gain the knowledge and expertise through our combined efforts and be a part of this opportunity as your knowledge leaders and contributors. Thank you for the opportunity. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Brinton. Thank you both. And now you are probably intrigued by the topic that we will discuss today, tourism revenge, also known as revenge travel, a new term that has come to stay. But no one better to discuss this new phenomenon than our speaker, Dr. Elvio Camacho. Let me introduce you to our speaker. He holds a degree in financial management and banking and insurance management, a master's degree in tourism strategic management, and he's currently attending a PhD in management. He is a lecturer, a researcher, and the chief executive officer of the company Accounting Supports. But before handing over to our speaker, let me invite you to leave your questions in the comment section. By the way, a lot of engagement from you today, so thank you. Our speaker will answer all your questions at the end of our webinar. And if you would like us to send you a certificate of attendance, please do not forget to fill in a form that will be made available in the comment section as well. Now, without further ado, the floor is all yours, Dr. Elvio.
Elvio?
Let's just wait some seconds, all right? Technical problems.
Oh.
Technology is not flawless, so let's just wait.
It happens.
Our speaker had a problem with his computer, but he's joining us.
Sorry for this starting, but sometimes the computers give us this problem. I had a problem with the computer. I'm trying to use another computer that we have here in Israel. Okay. Okay. Hope you see here perfectly. Okay. Thank you all for being here today. I'm going to introduce to this webinars from tourism revenge. What I try to do in this presentation, I try to look forward not for what will be the tourism revenge, but what is the impacts and the solutions that we are undercover directly from the World Travel Tourism and direct from the United Nations Tourism, in order to see what are the perspectives of different stakeholders for this theme, okay? First, I will start with the impact, then I will talk about the solutions and the end at the future projection. I hope everybody is seeing correct the presentation, but I tried to put it in the same. Okay. We start with the impact. It has a lot of impacts. The COVID-19 I was called a super shock from Dolly Karen Sayre. As the outbreak was gripped the global tourism industry with borders being closed, bans of visas for certain nationalities, and airports converted into parking lots, lots of planes on the ground, nothing that we haven't seen until now. And to see this, probably I have here the global impact from COVID. It takes until now 43% down in travel and tourism job loss. We had 40% in travel and tourism GDP loss, and the global arrival expectations with the international going down in 65% and domestic 33% down. And we see that this COVID has an impact far beyond that all the crisis that we have in aviation. We have here the ICAO for giving us a view what this impact was, and you can see since 45 to 21, the COVID goes down than any other break that we have since all crises, Iran, Iraq, Gulf crisis, ISIL crisis. This is new. This has a huge impact. So everybody has been looking what will be next. We can see from the tourism dashboard and tourism research that we had a year-to-date change by region: 82% in Africa, 72% in Americas, 94% in Asia and Pacific, 84% in Europe, 78% down in Middle East. And as you see, we are now 1 year past and we still didn't fill the gap. We have a lot of gap to carry. So we have a lot of people waiting for traveling, but with traveling needs, with vacation needs, and there's no way to go because it's been away. So the several key factor of impact, they call two different in this tourism. And the term that we are studying today, tourism revenge, becomes from the first aspect, from the recovery aspects. We have recovery and we have adaptive. From a journal review, and I look for different ways to see this. We had this first recovery, we call it the new sustainability or the revenge tourism. two teams different assumption. The new sustainability is most of the tourism academy adopts the values and expectation of a sustainable tourism recovery. What we have seen until now, it's everybody talking that we're gonna grow up the tourism in a different way, in another way. That was the feeling with this rebuild, with this recovery of the tourism. Continuation of use of online tools, education, industry consultants, or sustainable recovery, sustainable research and collaboration with social science dominate the agenda. We try to go no more with planes, reducing the carbon emissions. We try to do things different in order to save this from the tourism. The new sustainability view, they say that trust in a place is sustainable practice to restart the tourism industry to creating long-term economic, environment, and social culture benefits. And I will look forward for this aspect at the end of my presentation, because I took from United Nations a paper that from the 20 richer countries, they made it, and that's a good paper that will help us new views on new tourism. Okay, from the revenge tourism, there is a lot of aspects that we have been talking about in the academics, and we have been looking for it. Okay, Tourism Academy takes decisive steps to reach the goals of a fast revival of global tourism with this pre-pandemic nature. Marketing efforts to regain student numbers, relaunch conference travel, increase consumer confidence and business consultants. We have a lot of people that want to travel, but we have a lot of countries that need these people to travel. It's different, the needs of the countries from the needs of the people. And okay, so environmental and social costs take a momentary backseat as relaunch of tourism and increase of tourism numbers are priority. And this is the main aspect that tourism revenge can be seen from a point of view that is not good for what we thought that was a new rebuilding, a new sustainability, because we are looking forward for having more tourists, again, the same tourists or new tourists. What's the difference between them? The second is an increase in relevance projects for industry and research. This is from the recovery side. From the adaptancy side, we thought that we had the bridging the gap or the decline, okay? The first one that we've been looking for, that has been in the early beginning of the COVID, a new form of global tourism emerged based on ongoing challenge of the pandemic. A radical shift occurs where international travel is limited and tourism is localized and plunged by risk and safety concerns. We see a lot of countries looking forward to see, okay, this country can come, this country cannot come. We are shifting decisions about opening the borders to different countries every 3 weeks. England is making that. Is making shift the borders cancellation in order to see if it's possible or not possible. Even here in Portugal, and Madeira has been affected too, we have the closure of the borders from the British countries. So, because there is another huge case in Lisbon, at the same time, our destination, Madeira, that is an island in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean, has been affected by this. So, even if we think that the tourism revenge is something that will happen, will appear, we see that this tourism, this new beginning, is well away from the decision of the countries, but a decision of health. Okay. Accordingly, research output will shift largely towards practical applicable issues such as consumer behavior, health issues, risk management, policies, transport, and domestic. I will see the trends that we have today, and when it comes to the opportunities that this COVID made to the tourism sector, we see that a lot of countries are trying to change and shift this way of doing things. Okay, from the decline side, that was one of the expectation post-COVID. This scenario assumes a long-lasting impact of the pandemic on global tourism. We now have this Delta new pandemic, the variation of the COVID, the Delta, and they say that this has a larger transmission, and probably the vaccine scheme that we have been implementing will be not only the main aspect that will be safe for us to travel, but it will change that. So we have a lot of things going on until now, and we see that this rebuild of the new tourism is still not occur as we want, okay? When we go further, we have 4 trends that the World Travel says. First, the trends that comes up from this recovery plan or this recovery from the tourism. First was the demand evolution. The demand evolution, travel preference and behaviors have shifted through familiar, predictable, and trusted. I think the word trusted is the word that we should look forward, okay? We are looking to destination where we can trust, and this destination where we look sometimes for domestic vacations, extensive planning, and the outdoors will regain in short term with tourism business and destination already adapting. So first trend is a demand evolution. We are not looking for traveling, but we are looking for safe places to be in, okay? The second, it's health and hygiene, okay? Health, safety, and trust are paramount in this new era. Personal experience, the fear of being stuck in another country, and concerns for distancing will guide consumer behavior in the short to mid-term. Business will have to collaborate even more closely with either extended value chains to ensure readiness. Okay. The third trend is innovation and digitalization. COVID-19 is proving to be an expected catalyst in the travel and tourism sector quest for innovation and integration of new technology. Not only because we are taking out this human touch from the tourism sector, it's a huge impact. Tourism depends on human touch, depends on people, talking with people, seeing places. And if we are taking this out, probably we have to look forward for different ways of giving things to the persons, okay? The second, stay-at-home orders, digital adaptation and consumption array are on the rise, with consumers now expecting contactless technologies, among others, as a basic prerequisite for a safe and seamless travel experience. Okay, the next one and the last one is sustainability. From widespread unemployment and agricultural movements to the restoration of natural habits, the world has been reinvigorated to tackle social, environmental, and institutional sustainability. Okay, in particular, heightened public awareness of wildlife markets and poaching has boosted advocacy for wildlife protection. So what we see here is that these trends that we have, these 4 trends, are demanding for a new born of tourism. And as we can see, this revenge tourism as a question that we have to see, that we have to think about it. The first question is this revenge tourism a new tourism demand, or is this revenge tourism to fill the gap of the lost tourism? Okay, so what we are thinking is that if we are going to have new tourists with new way of thinking, or we're going to have the new tourists with the same way of thinking about the destination. So what we see, the projections and the private leaders have been trying to accomplish some measures that they have to make it. We have 12 measures that was from the World Travel Tourism Council that was predicted. The first one was to implement standardized global health and safety protocols across all industry and geographies to facilitate a consistent and safe travel experience. So even if you go to an hotel in India, if you go to an hotel in Madeira, if you even go to an hotel in different places in the world, we are trying to standardize the obligations, the way we do things in order to be facilitated by the tourism. Another is cooperate with governments in the efforts of COVID-19 testing before departure and conducting tracing tools within international testing protocol and framework. So we are seeing that even countries are making the same decisions together. The second is develop and adopt in the second and the third. Develop and adopt innovative and digital technology that in a seamless travel, better manage visitor flows, and improve travel experience while making it safer. The other offers accessibility for bookings of such a change as waiving fees due to COVID positive cases. The other offer promotions, more affordable products of great value to incentivize domestic and international travel, taking into consideration national and international aid guidelines. And the sixth one is cooperate with governments in the promotion of destinations that are open for business and document testimonials to rebuild travel confidence. The six first steps of these six first measures are measures that try to make tourism again safer. The other six, it's adapt business models for new global situation, collectively work to develop new products and solutions to boost domestic international tourism. What we are seeing is that even if we have a lot of companies going out of the business because of the costs of the COVID, what we are now seeing, even here in Madeira, it's emerging new ways of doing business, new contacts for the tourism. And this is gaining a new digitalization, use of more technology in order to get safer, at the same time giving the experience of the tourism, okay? The second is the eighth is to reinforce the provision and process of travel insurance that includes COVID-19 cover, provide consistent and coordinate communications to travel. Communication is a great issue. We have to communicate in order to have tourists, okay? Offering information to have better risk assessment, awareness and management, facilitate the journeys and enhance their experience. I can talk about the experience that we had here in Madeira. We are in July of 20, we are the first ones in European to test everyone that arrived. We are an island, so as we are an island, we are well aware of the COVID impact in our country, in our island. So we are the first one in European level to make tests on everyone that arrives. And it gives us results because we had more than 6 months with lower cases. This was good for us. The second one is reinforce sustainability practices, working in partnership with local communities and accelerating sustainable agendas, and continue to invest in crisis preparedness and resilience to better equip the sector to respond to future risk of shocks. So this tourism revenge is being prepared to have different ways that we can see what is this tourism, this revenge. The outlook for 2021, with 32% of all global destinations completely closed until now to international tourists, based on current trends, United Nations has projected an 85% down in the first quarter of 2020. And it's happening, okay? This would represent a loss of 26 million international arrivals, and we are looking under European Commissions on different scenarios. And these scenarios are being every month recalculated with the new inputs from different destinations and this new era of COVID-19. For example, in Portugal, what we are seeing is that we thought that this summer we have the recover, and what happened is that Lisbon had lots of cases in these 3 weeks before, and we are closing. So no English people are coming to Portugal, probably no German will come, so we are again in a lockdown probably in the next few weeks if we don't see it. Even if we are making 25% of our population is vaccinated. So even if we are talking this revenge, we have to have prepared this, okay? The first scenario that we see that the United Nations points to around in July, which would result in 66% increase in international arrivals from the year 2020 compared to historic lows of 2020. At the same time, arrival will still be 55% below the levels recorded in 19. So even if we thought that this revenge will come earlier, it's coming, but it's coming slowly, okay? First that we have to see is that this tourism recuperation is coming slowly. The second, even if we are looking for scenarios, and the United Nations make it simple, we have these two ways that they thought that we can reach at the end of December 21, the same international tourism arrivals that we have in 2020. Probably this will not be the scenario, probably the down scenario will be the most case. The second, when we look for Eurocontrol, the main control of European travels, and they are making lots of projections since the beginning of COVID, and what we see is even in the best scenario, we have 55% down in tourism, okay? Even if we are looking for the aircraft in Europe, we see that a lot of planes, a lot of available seats are down at the airport. So we don't have a lot of planes coming to the market. So if no planes are coming to the market, why? It's because it's not safe to travel now. Even if we are talking about a tourism revenge, this could take few moments to come, not so easy as we thought that day. At the same time, I look for Eurocontrol traffic scenarios, and at 1 of June 21, they had this four scenario. Even if with the scenario vaccine in 21, with the hand, probably with the new infection, they think that this growth will be 50%. Only if we have this vaccine in 2022, if we have another vaccine, probably will grow to 79%. So what we see, this won't come earlier. This will come late, and this will take time for a tourism revenge. Even if we thought that is a time, we see that it's taking time to get the same tourists that we had in the past. So I look for the forecast Europe for 2014, and they see that in the best scenario in 2023 is the time that we are going back to the last time. This is Europe, this is Eurocontrol, this is provisions, and this is scenarios that you can search in Eurocontrol and see this. Even if the things go well, with everything going correct, we are thinking on 2024 to arrive a new increase from the last previous scenario, okay? So, across all regions, there has been a strong and widespread policy response to this impact of COVID pandemic, okay? And from 2020 countries and territorial analysis, we see that there are different policies from different countries to make resolution to this COVID-19, okay? I was looking for our country supporting tourism recovery, and this recovery that will take a lot of time, as we've seen, how the countries will help tourism to regain, okay? Governments are respond quickly and strongly with the level of coverage of measures taken over time. Most countries have adopted economic-wide stimulation package, fiscal and monetary measures. Across all regions, much measures currently in place aim to provide fiscal and financial support, promote the job retention and secure employment. These are the first main aspects that the government tried to put on safe. Due to this labor-intensive nature, tourism is the center of such policies, and even if we see that a lot of people are taking out of the tourism sector, are making their life in another jobs, different jobs. As the situation evolves and recognize the need of implementing tourism specific measures, countries have begun to deploy measures targeting directly tourism, particularly in those countries where the sector plays a significant role. Okay, so for not taking long time, I will see what were the most preferred measures on this COVID. Okay, monetary policies was more in Asia and Europe. 92% of the countries have adopt these policies, monetary. They generally include the creation of special credit lines to reduce subsidy or zero rates, okay? The second measure was fiscal and monetary, supporting the tourism directly. This range to relieve the tourism business special estimates, such as the acceptation of postponed taxes, loan payments, and tourism-related fees. And this, again, 92% of Europe has been adopting this, and even in Asia and Pacific, 85% of the countries were adopting this, okay? And jobs and training policies, as you see, in Europe, at 72% are adopting these policies for training people, for regaining the people that were out of working to give new competitions. And this is good for schools, okay? Because schools have this gap that can help tourism to regain new competitiveness and to get new instruction, new education. And this is good for this tourism that will come, okay? At the end, we are now seeing that restart tourism and promote domestic demand is less adopted by the countries. Why? Because a lot of countries are still facing the pandemics. That's not, they are not looking for the restarting because they are fighting. If they are fighting, they are still in the measures of the fiscal and job training. So the restarting tourism policies are more used on the recovering tourism that is again in Europe and Asia and Pacific. So this gives a scope of the world as it is. So we see that we have a lot of countries in Americas that are still with the pandemic issues with a lot. We have India with a lot of still, but we are seeing that we are changing the shift of the policies from fiscal and monetary, from jobs and training to restarting the tourism. This is the new trend. Okay. At the end, I will try, I see the situation, I give you lights for the future of the projections that the tourism sector involves. And I put this in this agenda, the new visions on tourism, okay? If you look for the news, what we see is that comments, be careful with the phrase revenge tourism. Why? Revenge as a negative word, it's a negative, it's a revenge, it's not a good word. Sometimes they are changing this theme of tourism revenge to new tourism sustainability. The other is the revenge travel an environmental disaster waiting to happen? Because we have seen in different countries that the opening, even China, we saw that the opening with the people with a lot of interest to go to the places, that the places were still with a lot of contentions, they are full booked and they have the same impact. And what we have seen, it's not this idea that we had that the tourism revenge will bring new tourists, but what we have been seeing, it's that they are bringing the same old things that they did in the last tourism. And this is not suitable with the control measures of the tourism, because we are trying to control the pandemic, because the pandemic still is. We are trying to, again, restart the tourism. And if we are giving the people the same tourism products, the same ways of doing tourism, what will happen is that this pandemic will not be resolved, and we again will have to lock down again. China promotes revenge travel to boost economic after COVID lockdowns. What happened is that they still have a lot of negative impacts with a lot of pressure over tourism. We don't forget that in 2018, in 2019, we have been looking for the over tourism. That was the main aspect that we are discussing in that days, okay? Because we are talking about, we don't want tourists in our building. This is not a beach resort. We are destroying tourists, go home. So 2 years ago, we are talking about the theme of over tourism. 2 years from that day, we are talking about the revenge tourism. What changed between these two? The COVID, okay? So I look for the United Nations, and as the principal of the university talk about the ICO, it was this recommendation for the transition to a green travel and tourism economic was from the United Nations. And this local that she talked about, this local products, this local, it's in the agenda. It's in the agenda that with the countries are trying to give new tourists. Okay, so I will talk about a few measures that is in the document. I give you the address that you can read the full document, but I will try to highlight some aspects that I found that was important for us to see today. First was biodiversity conservation. Capture the value of conservation through tourism. We have experienced that a lot of countries with reduction of economic activity during COVID-19 has to some extent reduced the pressure on the environment. It's real, okay? We have seen a lot of good environments coming back again, okay? There are many destinations where the conservation of marine and terrestrial ecosystem, protected areas, and special largely depends on tourism, revenues, and operators. So if we have no tourists, enough money to have this recovery process, we need tourism to come back. So we have to measure between to lose or to win, okay? Supporting voluntary monitoring mechanism that will regularly capture such contribution and the value of ecosystem service to tourism at the national level will enable the tourism sector to capitalize on this conservation effort. So first measure, we have to look forward for this biodiversity conservation. It's the new era of the tourism. It's important for us because we cannot get rid of tourism because we need this kind of tourism in order to keep this safe environment. This is important, okay? The second was a climate action. According to United Nations research released in December 19, the tourism sector was estimated to increase to CO2 emission by at least 25% by 2030. While the COVID pandemic has led to a 7% reduction gas, it is expected that emission from tourism could rapidly rebound as operation restarts. And therefore, the need to transform tourism operations for climate actions continues to be utmost importance for the sector of remain in line with international goals. Okay, so what we see is that we have this pressure on this climate action and we take out with this tourism. What the governments have to see is that this new restart has to be more efficient, more climate efficient, and more sustainable. So what the governments are trying at the same time is to accelerate the decarbonization of tourism operation, mitigation efforts to reduce emission in the tourism sector, including through investment to develop low carbon transportation options and green infrastructure as the key to resilience. So what the European Commission in Europe has put a lot of funds that we call bazooka. It's a lot of money that will come to the companies, to countries in different countries in Europe. The aim of this bazooka is to develop a new sustainability tourism, a new projection, and new orders in order to a grand number of consumers that are demanding at the same time that the tourism sector add this responsibility for the CO2 emissions, okay? So one of the new vision of tourism. The third is circular economy. This is important, and this is an issue that has been studied by the Academy of Tourism, because the tourist likes to experiment, likes to act as a local, okay? When he goes to a place, he has this time to act as a local, and he wants local things. He wants to taste the local things. He wants to live the experience of that country, of that places. And this is important for the governments to see that this revenge, that we call it as a tourism revenge, could be not a revenge, but an experience of the tourism, the local tourism, promoting the circular economy by the COVID, integrating circularly and further advancing resource efficiency in the tourism value chain, represents this opportunity for the tourism sector to embrace a sustainable and resilient growth pathway, okay? So this is another issue that is the recommendation. Another is about public health. The COVID-19 pandemic has showed a strong connection among tourism, public health, and the environment. This has been not only in the procedures. The hotels have been act as hospitals for where there was no tourists. They were a lot of people from the COVID impact in Europe. For example, in Madeira, in Portugal, we used the hotels to put the people that were with COVID. And this helped facilitate the government. The tourism sector has proven to be assistance by putting this infrastructure, supply chains, and staff at the service of public health and humanitarian aid. Creating long-lasting synergies between public health and tourism is an investment in preparedness and relation to the future crisis and contributes to confidence and trust. So the tourist was not only about winning money, but about cooperation. That's an important issue that we have to think about on this revenge tourism, because they were on the side of the economy, helping the economy and helping the people. The last, I think is the last one, a lot that we saw in COVID, communication. People, we are in an era that people know the truth. They know the truth. Even if we don't talk, they search for the truth. And we have to restore the truth through communication, okay? This trust has to be researched. To address the public health concerns of tourists, amply and host communities and restore trust, transparent and proactive communication of the measure put in place in current development with business of destination is the key. We have been doing in Portugal, in Madeira, probably Madeira more than in Portugal, we have been trying to pass as a safe travel destination. This is the main communication that we have tried. But this word safe travel communication doesn't end up on the word. It ends up on procedures, on measures that we are trying to put to tourists. When a tourism arrives in Madeira, what we are seeing is that it is tested. He goes to a hotel where he has to wear the mask. He goes to a supermarket where he has to wear the mask. And we are giving this perception of safety to the tourist. And this is important, this communication, this way of doing things, it's important for getting the confidence of the tourist again, okay? The other one was the focus, and the last one, on the needs of micro and small and medium-sized enterprises. Why? We have seen that at the end, when we went home, when we were locked down, we need the small business, the business that were near the house. And the tourists like this business because they experience products. And this is important for the governments and the tourism to keep safe the small enterprises, to keep safe the small business in order to keep developing the capacity building and training programs and contribute to business continuity. In those destinations where tourism has become almost the sole economy activity, supporting business to diversify and their customer base and revenue streams will enhance their resilience. And this was important because it helped, this COVID helped a lot of small business to still be open. And this taste of this revenge of tourism, as it gains again the same path, it's a consumer demand, but it's most important, a political issue that has to change the focus on the tourism, okay? The focus on the campaigns, the focus on the health side. And this is important for us because even if we know that a lot of people, and the studies give us, that a lot of people want to travel, a lot. We had the open space for Algarve, that is the south part of Portugal, for British. On the next day, we had planes full booked because it was open, the day next was full booked. So we see that there is this need of travel. There is this need of going abroad. But this need of going abroad, it's been asked if there is a safe place. So if it was a word that I can tell you that is important for this tourism revenge for the future, even if we know that the future to become normal, it will take time, as we've seen in the projection of the different interveners. We see that we're building tourism, and this is my final word. We are rebuilding the tourism to make it safer, to make it helpful for the tourists, but this is not possible without the help of the enterprises, without the help of the governments, and without the help of all the people that are contributing to tourism experience to have their safe place here in everywhere they go. Okay, that's all. Probably I talk a lot. Probably my English was not perfect, but I tried, but it's done. Okay.
Professor, your English is much better than
Thank
mine.
you. Thank you, Dr. Elva, for the brilliant speech and the brilliant English accent as well. Thank you. Well, I would like to remind our participants to fill in a form that is already available in the comment section in order to obtain the certificate of attendance. Now, of course, there will be some time for our question and answer session. By the way, many participants are praising our webinar and our speaker's speech. So thank you so much for your feedback. We highly appreciate it. Now, the first question I have for our speaker is, give me just a second here. How will the tourism industry be reformed after the COVID-19 pandemic? What will be the roles of government, tourism companies, and other stakeholders in order to support this industry? Dr. Elvio, the floor is all yours.
Okay. If I had the good answer, I won't be here. I will be working with the companies. But what my presentation gives the highlights, and this presentation is taken from the different views of the stakeholders on tourism. What we think is that, and what I think by reading, because it's a personal comment, not a comment from anywhere. I see that there is the tourism industry depends on travel, okay? Depends on airplanes, depends on capacity, depends on airports, depends on these two things. Until we don't have, and we are trying now in Europe to have the digital certificate for traveling, this is the first step. We have to have this digital certificate. It has to be safe to travel again. It has to be safe. The second aspect is the destination. We have a travel, we have a destination. The destination has to have safe measures made by the government. It's impossible to a country to develop the new tourism without these measures, without these articulated schemes between hospitality, between wellness, between transports. It is important that this is integrated. And this is, as I've been talking about, this is well communicated to tour operators, to tourists, and well communicated and well done, okay? It's important for this. The second step is an hotel sustainable with 50, 20% of occupation rate? It's sustainable? It's possible? No, it's impossible. It's impossible with the last economics, okay? It's not possible to have an hotel with 20% of occupancy. It's impossible. You need more than 60% to earn money, okay? So what we need support from the tourism sector, from the government, to make these occupancy levels more suitable in order to have sustainable tourism. And the other word that I see, it's the price. We have a lot of destinations fighting for tourists. And we know that fighting for tourism, sometimes, even if we have the best quality, relies on price. That's a common issue that we talk about. But this price that was before pandemics was a common issue between different aspects. What we see is that this cannot be the price that we had in the past. The price has to include the safe place, the originality, the people, it has to have this price to be sustainable again. Okay? At the same time, I talked about travel, I talked about hospitality, and I talk about the people, the local people. It's important that the government be aware that this tourism has to be sustainable for the people that lives on the places where tourists go. Because it's important. We have to recover the same aspects that academics were studying before COVID, that it was the over-tourism, that was tourism capacity, that was the sustainable tourism. It's important to get back these issues in order to give a new era of the tourism. So, if while I'm talking about recovery, I will talk that the public, as we've seen until to now, as a great issue on it. Okay, it has to support some measure has to be supported by the public. It's impossible the private will support that again. Okay, but at the same time, it's an education issue. It's an education by our country, an education to our tourists, because in nowadays, even I that go abroad, I have an education different from another people that was before, because I go to a place, I think about keeping it safe, at the end, keep it clean, don't use a lot of planes in order to have CO2 emissions, okay? We have to have this sustainable issue in our mind in order to travel. And at the same time, we have to have companies, the local tourism to be sustainable and to be on the next visit for them to be there. Because it's about this. Tourism is about people. Tourism is about going to a place and see the same things that we saw better in the next day, but with the same experience that we have traveling there. Okay, I think that I respond.
Yes, well, the first one, but I have, well, some other questions for you. A lot of them actually very participative, our participants, so thank you for that. Second question for you, Dr. Elvio, is how can we improve tourism in this pandemic situation? Well,
I think I talked about it. It's
yes.
about it's about safe. It's about a place that people realize that it's safe for their family to go there, and it's about the experience. Okay, it's about the experience that we give. Many countries are, as we've seen, are developing the domestic. Why? Because it's more facilitated, communicated. Okay, the domestic, the traveler on boards, because it's more useful for the tourism and it's safe for the people. Okay, it's safe. But we have to go abroad. We have to bring again the same tourists, the same countries that have this lots of tourists going abroad and giving the same safe measure. It's a test. It's about safe.
Yes, thank you. Now I have here a question, which is more than a question, it is a personal concern. So will this revenge tourism pave the way to the next wave of COVID?
Yeah, I can tell you this. As we've seen on the first, on here, okay, let me take this out, okay. I think that is here. Sorry, but this is okay. We see the world passenger traffic evolution. We have lots of crises occurring in different eras, in different years. Okay, and this COVID is one, and probably we'll have another COVID in the next. It's about learning with experience. It's about learning with these issues, these pandemics, these things, this measure that we have implemented. It's about not making the same mistakes that we committed in the past. And that's why when I was making my presentation, I said that is about public health. It's about a common notion that this could happen again. And if this could happen again, we have to look on this learning situation, because it's a learning situation. COVID is a learning situation. It's not an act, it's a learning, because we are learning from ourselves as a country and as a global nations are acting. Because it's not a problem of India, it's not a problem from Portugal, it's not a problem from United States, a problem, it's a huge problem, a country, a world problem. And we have to be communicative, we have to be positive. And that's that even if we have this a new wave of pandemic, we have been learning from the past that this needs safe measures. We have lots of measures that we did in the past and it saved the problem. This is the important. And the another is, even if we try to have the same measures, we have to be aware that this COVID will be changing shifts. So the measures are the importance that we have to learn from this. Okay, great. I think that I answered. If I don't have the response, but I probably.
Very clear. Now, another question. Let me just select here because we have some repeated questions that I believe that our speaker has already answered. What will tourism look like after COVID? So the main changes. What will tourism look like after COVID? So the main changes after going through this pandemic, after trying to respond to these challenges.
Okay. First, I will talk about my self-experience. Okay, my self-experience as a father and the family. What I saw from this pandemic, it's that I need to travel. Okay, I need to travel. Travel is a way of living. It's a way that I like a lot, and I will do it eternally. Okay, I like to know different places, to know different people, and to be there, not in a Zoom looking, but in a local looking. It's important for us. And even if we have this, people will continue to travel, and we'll give this education to our kids for them to travel. To travel not only to leisure, but to travel to work in different places of the world. We have children that are from Portugal working in London, working in the United States. We have people from India working in different places in the world. And these people are traveling for business, traveling for working. So the tourism in a consumer perspective will be the same, will be a world to explore. The second is how the tourism will respond. This is different. The tourism will respond with what I think it is the process of education. We now know that we need our tourism companies to be more sustainable. We need our aviation that was already with lots of problems, with financial problems, have to be sustainable in the future. And to be sustainable, have to have less consumption, have to be more efficiently, and work. At the same level, the tourism destinations, huge destinations like France, like London, like United States, in like Maldives, Sri Lanka. I've been in Sri Lanka because for my honeymoon, and different places in different world needs this kind of tourist that comes and visits, but to keep the place safe. Not safe is not when I say safe, it's to keep it as it was. No, to keep growing, but in a safe and sustainable way. Because a lot of people think that the countries that we visit will have to be the same. They don't have to be the same. We have been changing a lot since the beginning of tourism. What we have is to have sustainable measures. We have to be more sustainable. We have to have circular economy. We have to have the people working there, because like I told and I tell again, tourism is about people talking with people and visiting places where there is people, animals, where there is place, and we need this. And we need this. As I see that, the tourism will not be the same, but will be with the same instruction to go there to visit. But at the same time, what we need is to take care of our sightseeing. In Madeira, we have Levadas, probably you don't know. but we have waterfalls, when we have water coming from this north side to the south side, and we have to preserve this because it's important for us, because we bring water, and at the same time, it's a sightseeing that tourists come to see. It's our own Eiffel Tower, okay? Paris has to preserve the Eiffel Tower. Sri Lanka has to preserve its natural wildlife. So different places have to be sustainable. And I think that the need of tourism in the future is to be sustainable, at the same time, become a safe place for journey. Okay?
All right, thank you, Dr. Melvin. I believe we still have time for one last question, bearing in mind that all the others are very similar, and I believe that our speakers already answered all of them during his presentation and during this question and answer session. So the last one is related to stress. Many participants are asking, will revenge tourism really change our levels of stress?
Okay, I think that our levels of stress is a technology problem. It's a technology. Nowadays, we are used to everything to come quick. If we want to talk to another person like us today, we go to the net and talk. If we want an answer, we can be immediately. If we want to see a sighting, we have this immediately. And people are not technology. People have to think. People have a lot of things to do. And at the same time, technology gives us, people, a multitasking process. We can be in different issues at the same time with this technology. So this stress comes from our culture, from our work, from our attitude as a person. What the tourism revenge will bring to the locals is that probably it's going to gain again more tourists and more tourists as the time comes. But at the same time, it depends on as we act. If we're going to open our boards to any tourist that comes without safety measures, probably we will have a lot of stress. If we are opening the tourism with the safe measures, and we, as people, as local, keep the same safe measures as we had now, probably won't have a lot of stress because it's a common responsibility between me and the tourists. And at the end, what we need is that we have to go abroad and visit places. And like I say, rebuild the tourism in order to have less stress, because a lot of the stress goes out when the day we arrive at the sand beach and we give a swim. The stress goes out. That's the tourism impact in our personal lives. And that's important for us to keep this commitment between locals and tourists in order to have the safe places, the sustainability places. And probably I'm talking about sustainability a lot, but it's important because this is the main issue that in March, we had more in Europe, not so we had this pandemic, closing borders and lots of things. In April, we are talking about the new era of tourism. We are 1 year from there, and we are still talking about the new era from tourism. And it's not a problem of thinking, it's a problem of acting. We should stop thinking and doing measures in order to have more safe and more sustainable tourism. That's the important issue that we have to be less stressed for this tourism revenge.
Yes, perfect. Thank you. Well, I believe we are running out of time, unfortunately, but I would like to thank our speaker for sharing his knowledge with us today and for showing us some light at the end of the tunnel. And of course, the person in charge of our International Exchange Department, Dr. Claudia Afonso, thank you. And thank you at home for attending our webinar and for debating this topic with us.
Thank you.
Now, to bring the session to an end, I would like to invite Dr. Kalamati, who is the Dean of Research at the ACW, and of course, Dr. Sancho Campanella, the Vice Director of ISAL, the institute hosting this event today. Thank you.
Delighted evening to all the delegates joined from the India, and good afternoon to all the delegates from Portugal. It's my pleasure to propose a vote of thanks on behalf of Devanyamal College for Women, Tamil Nadu, India. And first and foremost, I express my heartfelt gratitude to Professor Master Elvio Camacho of ISIL, Portugal, for his embarking address on tourism revenge on the mission of the tourism revenge. And thank you, sir. And next, I take this opportunity to thank our Honorable Secretary of ASSK Educational Charities, Mr. A. Senthil Kumar, backbone of international collaboration come international webinar with ISL Portugal. Thank you, sir. And I would like to take place a record of thanks our optimistic and enthusiastic Secretary, Madam, Mr. Misha Senthil Kumar, at this junction. Thank you, ma'am. I extend my gratitude to the moderator of the program, Dr. Angia from ISIL, Portugal. Thank you, ma'am, for opening address, and Dr. Sancha, Vice Director of ISIL, for her welcome address. Thank you, ma'am. And my words of gratitude also goes to our respected registrar, Dr. E. Sandarajan of ASSK Educational Charities, energetic principal of Devanyamal College for Women, Dr. M. Brinda, for her moral support. Thank you, sir, and thank you, madam. Not the least, I thank all the participants of this TACW, India and ISIL Portugal for this active participation. Once again, I thank you one and all. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Hello.
Yes, ma'am.
On behalf of ISAL, I would like you to thank you all for coming to this webinar, and we would like to thank you for all who make this webinar possible. Today, we did not achieve to have equal of gender, because Dr. Elvio was the only man present. This is a scholarship for women, and in Portugal, women are having an empowerment too. So I would like to thank you, all of it. We hope that we meet again this year or the next year to make some new webinars on common topics of the two universities, to share our knowledge and to share also our cultures, our products, our tourism. Okay, thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.